Thank you, Kim, I love you, Kim. Thank you for being a part of this movement. Yeah, that's the thing, right? So a lot of y'all probably don't know, or maybe you do know because as awkward as it is that I'm here. But this is my first church I've ever pastored. And And I say that just to say that if Cecil saw something in you that you have not seen in yourself yet, live into that right now. You don't need to know how you're going to get there, how you're going to fill that spot. You just need to know that you have been called into it by someone who could see you there. And so I'm so appreciative that after I looked over my shoulder to see who he was actually talking to, that I realized that it was me. And my life has never been the same. I think also a lot of you know that yesterday I eulogized and buried my big brother, Michael White. And the only way that I am standing and ready to be here today and be here going forward is because of what I've learned here and how big unconditional love is and how we can hold grief and love at the same time. And it's possible to heal, and it's possible to hurt and keep loving and keep showing up and doing the work as you heal, but you have to do the work of healing. We're gonna do better about healing in this community. Things have been piling up so quickly for the past 5 years that we haven't really taken the chance or the time to heal. And so no more compounding traumas. We're gonna spend this next month releasing it all and facing it all and dealing with it. So like Kim said, we can access Cecil. We can put Cecil on our altars. We can say, Cecil, I am not feeling like I can love anybody else. What should I do? Light that Cecil candle. He will hit you upside your head, and he will say, remember what I taught you. And we can do that. That's what the ancestors are for. And Cecil's not, we say rest in peace. Cecil's not resting. Cecil is ready to be activated, y'all. So waste no time calling on Cecil. I just want to share a few words with you. And I asked for a little grace this morning because I didn't have any words when I went to bed last night. At my brother's celebration of life, I was talking about how there is indeed milk and honey on the other side, but that there is also Hennessy, I found out. Yeah. That was me and my brother. And what I loved about Cecil is, while everyone parentalized him, he allowed me to call him brother. And that is the gift of my life. So it's been a few days, and this is the first Sunday since the Right Reverend Cecil Williams has passed away. And we're going to spend the next 5 Sundays and beyond lifting up his stories and his lessons and his blessings. And we will gather not in mourning, but in celebration of his life. And what is there to celebrate, you ask? We celebrate because we trust that liberation's job is to free love to become the cosmic force. We celebrate because love's impact on the universe is bigger than this just earthly existence. We celebrate that we were the school that Cecil learned and taught love. We celebrate that we were the students and the teachers of love. As a public theologian geek, I woke up this morning when I wrote this, and I wanted to explore his I can do this, I wrote this. His Cecilology. Say that with me, Cecilology. And what that means is that we get to speak to the high and the low aspects of Reverend Cecil Williams's influence. Usually we talk about the Christology. We talk about Jesus' divine nature as the Christ and Jesus' human nature as Jesus. So maybe we can find some meaning about the Reverend Cecil when we think about his human nature and his divine nature, his high Cecilology and his low Cecilology. Like his high Cecilology, his divine influence focused on the transcendent qualities of his work and his teachings. The high Cecilology views him as a conduit for divine love, justice, and liberation. A high Cecilology emphasizes his role in transforming lives and communities in ways that seem to extend beyond ordinary human capabilities. In a high Cecilology, we look at his legacy as a liberation theologian, where we see Reverend Cecil as a pivotal figure whose teachings and actions are imbued with a divine purpose. In a high Cecilology, we speak to the spiritual leadership, highlighting his role as a spiritual leader who provided visionary guidance and echoing divine call for justice and love. But I also want to explore the low Cecilology, because a low Cecilology deals with his humanity. I know we want to place him up there, but we also have to deal with Cecil the man, Cecil the person, Cecil the human. Because a low Cecilology underscores his humanity, focuses on his personal interaction, his compassion, his ability to connect with others on a deeply human and personal level. You see, a low Cecilology highlights his personal struggles and triumphs, making his accomplishments relatable and grounded in real-world experiences. Like, he really showed up to the Vietnam War and protested it. Like, he really showed up for sex workers. Like, he really showed up for women. Like, he really showed up for LGBTQ people. Like, he really showed up for poor people and those in the throes of addiction disorder. That was Cecil the human. Low Cecilology. And we can look to see if his teachings actually adds up with his actions. A low Cecilology allows us to celebrate his intellectual, emotional, and strategic thinking, and his role as an educator and an activist. High Cecilology, the divine nature of Cecil. Low Cecilology, the human nature of Cecil. And aren't we lucky that we get to accept both, or either, or neither, and still be a part of this movement called Glide Memorial Church? So if you allow me a few minutes, I just want to explore with you to see if we can do this thing I love to do to make a Bible story relevant and contemporary. If I can look at it through a Cecilian maybe we can learn some things. Maybe if we delved into like John 11:1 through 44, we find ourselves in the heart of Bethany. I've always wanted to like do the voiceover for a Bible story. That's what. Perhaps we can even, no, I'm sorry. We find ourselves in the heart of Bethany, into the home of the sisters Mary and Martha, where Lazarus, their brother, lie in death. Today, Mary will be played by Janice Mirkatani. Martha will be played by Maya Angelou. And Lazarus will be played by the Right Reverend Cecil Williams. Amen? Remember, high Cecilology, low Cecilology. Now, a certain man was sick. His name was Cecil of the Tenderloin, the town of his wife Jan and her sister Maya. It was that Jan who anointed the Lord with a fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her poetry, whose husband Cecil was sick. Therefore the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, the one whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness will not end in death, but for the glory of God, and that the Son of Man may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Maya and her sister and Cecil, so when he learned that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. When he heard he was sick, he still stayed where he was. And then after this, he finally said to his disciples, let us go to the Tenderloin again. Then the disciples said to Jesus, but Rabbi, the fentanyl crisis is still raging. The homelessness problem is still exploding. The numbers of people hungry are still growing. And you want to go there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of the world, and we are the light of the world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, our friend Cecil sleeps, but I'm going to go that I may wake him up. Then his disciples said, Lord, if Cecil sleeps, then he will get well. However, Jesus spoke of his death, but they thought that he was speaking about taking rest and sleep. Then Jesus just put it plain and simple. Cecil is dead. And I'm glad for your sakes that I was not there, that you may believe. Nevertheless, let's go to him. Then one of the disciples said, let us also go that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, he found that Cecil had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Nob Hill was near the Tenderloin, about 2 blocks away. And many of the black folks and the women folks and the LGBTQ folk and the poor folk had joined around Jan and Maya to comfort them during their time concerning Cecil. Then Maya, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Jan was sitting in the house writing poetry. Now Maya said to Jesus, Lord, if you had just been here, Cecil would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your Cecil will rise again. And Maya said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus said, girl, because that's what Jesus, that's how Jesus talks. He said, girl, I am the resurrection. And Jesus rolls his neck too. Jesus says, girl, I am the resurrection and I am the life. And they who believe in me, though they may die, they will live a new life. And she said to him, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. And Jesus said, well, that doesn't really answer the question, but oh well. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Jan, her sister, saying, the teacher has come and is calling for you, Jan. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was at the place where Maya had met him. Then the women who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Jan rose up quickly and went out, they followed her, saying, she is going to the tomb to weep there. Then when Jan came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet. She had been writing poems at his feet and knew him well, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my Cecil would not have died. Therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping and the women who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. Jesus groaned in his spirit and was troubled. Jesus had a spirit, and it was groaning. Have you ever been so indicted by a truth that it made you groan in your spirit? And he said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept, it says. Low Christology. Then the women said, "See how he loved him?" And some of them said, "Could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Again, as I approached my brother's coffin yesterday to close it for the last time, I was groaning in my spirit. Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb, and it was a cave, and a stone lay against it. It was a jail cell, and bars lay against it. It was drugs, and an addiction lay against it. It was love, and a violence lay against it. And Jesus said, "Take away the stone." And Maya, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, "Lord, by the time you open it, there will be a stench. He's been dead for 4 years. He has not gotten his selling marijuana charge dismissed, even though the pot is now legal. He has not been housed for 4 years. He has been sleeping in the same clothes, and conveniently enough for the NIMBYs of the world, he was dead." And Jesus said to her, "Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God?" Then they took away the stone from the place where Cecil, the man, was lying, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you. I thank you that you have heard me, and I know that you always hear me. But because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me." Now, when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, "Cecil, come forth." And he who had died came out of bond, hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Loose him and let him go." And see, that's where we are in the story right now. We're at the loosening. Our work now is to celebrate the human and the divine. Our work is to loose him and let him go. Not lose him, but just loose him. Knowing that we are forever transformed by him, and that he is now a part of the great transformation of life, free from the body. Cecil is finally free from the body. He is liberated by death, and we must celebrate that, and we must let him go. Cecil joins the great pantheon of liberators in history, from Harvey Milk to Harriet Tubman, to Dale Martin and Phyllis Lyon, to Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony, to Martin Luther King Jr. High Cecilology, the divine influence of Cecil. Low Cecilology, the human nature of Cecil. So you see, the Reverend Cecil's legacy is both his divine-like impact on social justice and his very human way of connecting with us as individuals, empathizing with their struggles and empowering them through community. Let's look to see that the divine and the human are not separate, but are interconnected in the work of this liberation that we're doing, just as they were in Reverend Cecil Williams' life and his ministry. Let's challenge ourselves to embrace both the high and the low aspects of this organization and this organizing. Let's recognize that our spiritual pursuits and our human actions are deeply entwined, each informing and enhancing the other in our ongoing quest for justice, love, and community. Can we do that for Cecil? Can we do that for Cecil? Can we do that for Cecil? Get up on your feet for a second. We're going to do a little work. I need somebody to say, "I am a conduit of divine love. I am grounded in the humane touch. I am an agent of change. I am a builder of community. Somebody say amen. Amen. Amen.